Good afternoon. So I'm glad to present you today my work on the modeling of the trafficking and signaling of the serotonin 2C receptor. So I work at the Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland. So it is a biology group, and I'm doing a modeling there with biologists. So the serotonin receptor is part of the GPCR family, which stands for G protein-coupled receptors. So these receptors form a large family of membrane protein, which sends molecules outside the cell and integrate the information into a biological response. So after ligand binding, the receptor undergoes a conformational change, which leads to the activation of G protein dependent signaling pathways. And in addition, after the receptor is activated, it can be phosphorylated by GRKs, which allows the binding of beta-arrestin and the internalization of the receptor. So the internalization will modify the amount of receptor available on the membrane. So intuitively, this will have an effect on possible further ligand stimulus of the system. But this effect is unknown, and my project is to study it. So that is studying the interaction between the trafficking of the receptor and the signaling pathways. So I study this on the serotonin receptor 2C. So this receptor exists in several forms, which exhibits different internalization behavior. So it is a good receptor to study the trafficking. And this receptor regulates mood, appetite, or anxiety. So it is also a very important drug target. So to study the trafficking of the receptor, it is necessary to be able to monitor and quantify the localization of the receptor in the cell after the stimulation. So in the first part of my talk, I will describe the method that we use to do this. And in the second part of my talk, I will show how we use ordinary differential equations to model this system. The signaling and the trafficking combine the dynamic responses and localization. So this forms a complex system for which it is difficult to have an intuitive understanding. So we use modeling as a tool with which we can play to understand how everything is working. So first, I will show how we use RAB-GTPases to monitor the localization of the receptor in the cell after its activation. So RAB-GTPases are proteins which regulate vesicle formation, transport, and fusion. So they are good markers for intracellular compartments. So 60 RABs are known, and I focus here on some of them. So for instance, RAB5 is located on endosomes just after internalization. RAB11 are vesicles which will be recycled back to the membrane, and RAB7 is located on vesicles on the trafficking pathway towards lysosome. So by looking at microscopy fluorescence images with two channels, so one channel with the receptor and one channel with a given RAB, it is possible to quantify the amount of internalization of the receptor by localization with RAB5, the amount of receptors that will be recycled by looking at the colocalization with RAB11, and the amount of receptor which will be degraded by looking at the colocalization with RAB7. So to do this efficiently and to be able to analyze many cells, we developed an automated image analysis program. It is called SQUASH, which stands for Segmentation and Quantification of Subcellular Shapes. And we developed it as an easy-to-use plugin for ImageJ. It combines denoising, deconvolution, and segmentation in a single step. And it was published this year in Nature Protocol. And we are currently extending it to the analysis of movies from live cell imaging and to fluorescence images with up to 4 channels. I give here an example of an image in another system with 4 channels at the same time. So we labeled a ligand, so here EGF in red, and 3 different RABs, so RAB5 in green, RAB7 in yellow, and 11 in blue. So we can look for the colocalization of EGF with different RABs. So on the left, it's the microscopy image, and on the right, it's the segmentation by the program. So after the segmentation is made, looking for the colocalization is very easy computationally. It's just looking for the overlap in these structures. So for the serotonin receptor 2C project, we used Squash with the HEK cells expressing the serotonin receptor to quantify the subcellular localization at different time points after stimulation. I give here microscopy images examples. In green, it's the receptor, and in red, it's RAB5 on the left. So this is before stimulation. And on the right, it's a receptor in green and RAB11 in red, 3 hours after receptor stimulation. So by eye, it is possible to estimate the colocalization. We see it in yellow. And we use Squash to quantify this automatically in a large data set. So we acquired a data set of 500 such images. These are 3D stacks, and here it's a projection. So we use Squash to quantify 500 such images, and I display the results here below. So first, it's the colocalization over time of the receptor with a RAB5. So at first, it's time point 0, so before the stimulation. So before the stimulation, there is around 5% of the receptor located in RAB5. So there is a little bit of constitutive internalization of the receptor. And when looking at the evolution over time, so after 3 hours, there are about 30% of the receptors located in RAB5. So this increase reflects the internalization of the receptor in the cell. Now, if we look at colocalization with RAB7, there is no increase in colocalization. So this shows that the receptor is not degraded more after the stimulation. So this is different with RAB11. So with RAB11, there is an increase in colocalization, showing that the receptor is recycled back to the membrane. So overall, this data shows that after the receptor is stimulated, it is internalized in the cell and recycled back to the membrane, and it is not degraded more in lysosomes. So this provides dynamic data and localization data. So we used it to develop a trafficking model of the serotonin receptor. So we used available knowledge from the literature to design the structure of the model, and also to set some kinetic parameters on the signaling pathways, because signaling pathways were already studied a lot. And we used this data to fit the transport parameters in the model. And I used the modeling environment BioCam to model and analyze this system. So the particularity of this modeling environment is the possibility to express biological specifications in temporal logic. So to design to express high-level temporal behaviors. So I show here a graphical representation of the model in SBGN. So it is an ordinary differential equation models with compartments. So different compartments are the cell membrane, the cytosol, and the compartments for the different RAB vesicles, so RAB5, RAB11, and RAB7. In blue, it's the inactive receptor, and in red, it's the active receptor. So receptor can be activated by the ligand or by constitutive activation. And once the receptor is activated, it can activate the G-protein-dependent signaling pathway, and it can be phosphorylated by GRKs, bind to beta-arrestin, and from this point, be internalized in a RAB5 vesicle. And once it is in endosomes, the receptor complex can dissociate, and the receptor can be in the inactive state again. And from there, the receptor can be transported to RAB11, back to the membrane, or to RAB7 and degraded. So I fitted this model to the experimental data. So this is what I quickly describe here. So these are the simulations of the model in the different compartments. The black bars are the experimental data, and the simulation curves, and the curves are the simulation from the model. So I fitted the model to this experimental data. So the model here is still, the problem is still underdetermined. There are many possible solutions. It is a work in progress, and we are currently working on acquiring new trafficking data in different conditions. So here on this graph, I represented the result of the fit of the transport parameters with different thickness proportional to the transport strength. So here the transport is higher for the recycling pathway and not for the degradation and synthesis. Okay. So it is, we are still working on the model, but already we wanted to see if we could use it to gain some new biological insight. So I used it to make some predictions on the response of the system to different patterns of stimulation. Here I show the response of the G protein dependent pathway, which leads to calcium release, after successive stimulation pulses. So the model predicts here that after some time, so here after 2 hours, for the second pulse, there is a response, but it is about half the amplitude of the first response. So this shows that the system needs some maintenance time before it is completely available again. So if we activate it before, then the response will be lower. So we can explain this by considering and looking at the amount of receptors in the different compartments. So this is a simulation showing the localization of the receptor in the different compartments in the cell. So in orange, it is an available receptor on the membrane. So after the first stimulation, the receptor is internalized. So this goes to 0. It is internalized and goes to RAB5 in blue, and then to RAB11 here in green. And then it is recycled back, so the orange curve here is increasing again. But at the time here of the second stimulation pulse, the amount of receptor on the membrane is not as high as at the beginning, so the response of the signaling pathway is also halved. Yeah. So we can identify on the model different modules. So when looking for this pathway, this is the activation of the receptor. The binding, the phosphorylation and binding to beta-arrestin is a desensitization of the receptor. And the internalization and recycling to the membrane is a resensitization of the receptor. So when the receptor is recycled, it is recycled in a state where it can signal, where it can bind again to the ligand and signal again. So now, the serotonin receptor exists in different forms through RNA editing. So I consider here two forms, so the fully edited form of the receptor and the non-edited form. And it has been shown that these two forms exhibit different, they have different constitutive internalization level. The fully edited receptor has low constitutive internalization, and the other one has high constitutive internalization. And these receptors are involved in different diseases. So for instance, it has been shown that people with suffering of depression have a higher level of a fully edited receptor compared to the normal amount. So there is a lot of research to decipher what is the role of these different receptor forms. So I used the model to predict what is the signaling response of these different forms. So on the left, it is the signaling response of the fully edited form, which has a low constitutive internalization, and on the right, it is a signaling response of the non-edited receptor, which has high constitutive internalization. So if we compare these two, we see that in this case, for the first response, the signal is lower. But in the second case, the signal is higher, which means that for the fully edited receptor here on the left, there is a very high peak signal, a very high peak performance, but it requires a lot of maintenance time. It has low availability. And this receptor here, it has a lower peak signal, lower peak performance, but it requires less maintenance, so it has higher availability. There is a trade-off between the peak signal and the availability of the receptor. So in the literature, the response here to the first stimulation pulse has been shown there is data on this, so it has been shown that for the non-edited receptor, the response is lower, but for the second pulse, there is no available data, so it is really a prediction of the model now, and we are working on acquiring experimental data to verify this. So finally, I showed how we use automatic imaging analysis to monitor the subcellular localization of the receptor over time. We use the data to develop a trafficking model of the serotonin receptor. So the model shows the influence of the internalization on signaling, and it predicts a trade-off between efficacy and availability as a new role for the different forms of this receptor. So I will just finish with this acknowledgement slide, and I will be glad to answer your questions now or at the poster. Thank you for your attention.
We have a couple of minutes for questions.
So you did a terrific job on everything.
Yeah, thanks.
So I guess the only thing standing between you and the break is the talk by Han Yuan.